This is the Untold Italy travel podcast, and you're listening to episode number 158.
Ciao a tutti and benvenuti to Untold Italy, the travel podcast where you go to the towns and villages, mountains and lakes, hills and coastlines of Bella Italia. Each week, your host, Katy Clarke, takes you on a journey in search of magical landscapes, history, culture, wine, gelato, and, of course, a whole lot of pasta. If you're dreaming of Italy and planning future adventures there, you've come to the right place.
Buongiorno, ciao, hi everyone. Are you ready to go deep into the Tuscan countryside today? I hope so, because my friend Arianna from KM0 Tours is here with me today to talk about the slow travel experiences you can have in her idyllic part of the world. Tuscany is one of the most popular places to visit in Italy, but many people only visit on a day trip and then they only get a little peek at the glorious towns, villages, rolling hills and people that make this region so very special. Life in the Tuscan countryside is about artisans, producers, changing seasons and connections. And Arianna and her partner Alessio had a dream to bring this beautiful lifestyle to the people of the world. For me, it's clear they made that dream come true. I'm so very proud to partner with them to bring you our seasonal Untold Italy tours of Tuscany in spring and fall. On our small group tours, you'll enjoy many of the local experiences that Arianna will mention in this episode and many more. But most of all, you'll leave with a sense of connection to this land and people that you'll call friends forever. But let's hear more about that from Arianna herself. Bentornata, Arianna. Ciao, and welcome back to the Untold Italy podcast.
Ciao, Katy. So good to see you again, and thank you for having me here.
Oh, Arianna, I can't believe the last time you were on the podcast chatting with me. Since then, I've been able to meet you in person, not once, but twice. It's been so much fun getting to know you in person, and I'm so thrilled that you've joined us back today. How are things in beautiful Tuscany?
We are absolutely excited to see you again as well, and we were so happy to be able to meet you this past summer and actually also this past fall. Things here in Chianti are very, very good. We have been enjoying some delightful Christmas holidays with family and friends, busy with the olive harvest actually at the end of November with lots of olive oil. It has been a really good season for olive oil. Very abundant, and now busy planning for some wonderful tours and trips and experiences for the next season, which is coming soon.
Very, very soon, isn't it? So everyone listening, after my wonderful experience with Arianna and her team, and we went and spent a whole day exploring some of the most beautiful towns deep into the Chianti countryside that's near her home, in Arianna's home. I just thought we should share with people what kind of experiences they can have when they visit Tuscany. And I'm not talking about what you can see or do. This is the things that you can feel and what you can I think experience has more to do with all the senses, not just seeing and doing, but hearing and tasting and touching and all of that. So one of the things that Arianna did for me, which was so special, is Arianna knows that I love baby goats. And so she arranged for us to go to this beautiful farm where they make goat's cheese, and I did get to meet the baby goats, and it was just so much fun and so special to meet this beautiful family that make this absolutely delicious cheese. But it wasn't just that we went to a goat's cheese farm. It was all of the things. It was the patting of the baby goats. It was meeting the family, tasting the cheese and understanding how they made the cheese. And so I wanted to get Arianna on to the show to talk to you about how that type of experience is very different to, like some of the things that we do when we travel in going to museums and, some of the major sites. This is a really different style of travel, but it's absolutely incredible. So Arianna, why don't you tell us a little bit about the philosophy behind what you do and why you do it?
With great pleasure. And first of all, thank you for all these wonderful things you just said. It just means everything for us to hear this. It's exactly what we were dreaming the first day when Alessia and we were chatting in front of this bar and just dreaming of this project that actually became a reality almost 10 years after. Let's say we're here and still talking about that and hearing these kind of things. It just makes me super, super happy. So thank you for appreciating and thank you for understanding the whole meaning behind it. Our small little tour company, we're based in Chianti. I was born and raised in the Chianti region of Tuscany, halfway between Florence and Siena. Father is from Florence, mother is from Siena. I was born in the middle, so, to please everyone. And that's a little bit what we have been building, our little nest, Alessia and and where we have been building this project that has the name of KM0 Tours. The name tells you already a lot about it. The first part of the name of our company is KM0 Tours, and the second part is Slow Travel Tuscany. And I think those two expressions, they are both the essential, let's say, part of our project. Let's say Tuscany, of course, is a big name, is a big brand by itself. So many people back in 2014, when we were, brainstorming some ideas of what we could actually create and which kind of experiences we could actually craft for travelers. So many people, they were just saying, but whatever, don't put that much time or effort or attention. You're in Tuscany. It's just Tuscany sells by itself. So you just keep it easy and, you just put a random winery and then guess we're happy. Yeah, for sure. Perhaps some of the travelers would be happy, but I feel that there's much more to share about our home and, our friends and about our territorio, that in Italian, it means, not just a land, but it means the whole culture that is actually created in that specific part of Italy. So that was the beginning. And we just thought to be able to share not just places, but also friends and also, let's say, culture and traditions that are in our daily life, but maybe they're not in all of the guidebooks that, people, or in all of the information on Google or whatever. It's not like that quick information that you can get, but it's a deeper kind of feeling and, experiences that you can actually get only if you live in a place or if you know somebody who is from that specific place. So that was the beginning. KM0 in Italian, we have the kilometers. And so KM0 means 0 kilometers. And it actually refers to a zero distance between you, the travelers, and all of the farms and the people who are, let's say, locals from here. So the whole concept of this movement is a big movement, the Kilometer Zero movement, and it's a similar movement to the let's say to the farm to table, but it refers not just to the quality and the seasonality of the products, but it also gives value to the relationship. So it's about, as you said, it's about going to a farm and meeting the farmers, interacting with people and touching the soil and understanding why a given product is made on that specific place and on that specific time of the year and on that specific people. And then, of course, you just give a totally different meaning to that place and to the product, and it just, you have stories to hear, and then of course you have stories to tell once you're back home, and you have a place where you wish to return again and again. So it's no longer, I think there's different kind of levels of travel. The first is that when you're a tourist, they are all wonderful ways. I'm not saying that, is our way is the only way. It's just different approaches. So when you are a tourist, you're basically seeing places from another, like you're just basically, you have something beautiful in front of you. You may read something about it, but you're not connected to it. You're just at different events. You are the ones looking at it. Then you have the travelers, and travelers is a already deeper kind of approach to travel. So when you want to understand more, but then we are trying to encourage our visitors to become friends, which is even a deeper level, to become friends with us and with all of our friends we have here, and to really not just see things, but really to experience in them and to look at them the same way that we are looking at them. That's our biggest dream every time we are building an Ethereum experience.
The amazing thing about what you do is like it's not just a dream, and I think a lot of people have these, amazing dreams, but you actually do make it reality, and it's a very, very special experience. And I think if you're going on a trip to Italy, you just made me think just then that you can have all of those different levels of travel in one trip. Even you can maybe go and see some beautiful sites in Florence or Rome, and really have that one type of travel and just admire the artworks and all of that. And then you can, take that next deeper level. But then I just feel like adding these different layers on, even within a trip, is just such a wonderful way to have a really rich experience. And, I really do thank you for, that. I mean, if I close my eyes, I can picture we went to a beautiful winery with some friends of Arianna, and we're just sitting around this table. There's the beautiful vineyards in the background. But you know what I remember most? I remember the dogs are running around, the grandchildren are darting in and out, and we're having this beautiful cheese platter and the wine, and we went and saw the barrels where the wine was made, and it's like locked in my memory. And I think that's the type of thing. We know definitely, after years of travel in Italy and around the world, that's what really I'm looking for now. I crave it now, and I really go and look for it. And so maybe, Arianna, I've given a few of your secrets away, but what about we tell people about some of the other experiences that they can have in Tuscany? And so, the different types of ways we can connect with your territory and your people.
Yeah. Thank you for this, because this is important. Again, one of my biggest, dreams at the beginning, it was not just that I understand, of course, wine is a big thing here in Tuscany, here in Chianti especially. I was born in one of the most famous, let's say, wine regions of the world. So I feel blessed. And of course, I want to give value to this aspect. But there's not just wine. Otherwise, it would be a problem if we were only drinking the whole day, every day of the year. It would be a little mess. So the thing is, of course, there's much more. We're so close to Florence, which is known for the fine art. We do have smaller villages and hilltop towns here, where, of course, it's more rare to have such fine art and masterpieces. But still, there are so many artisans, that are making these little villages alive, and there's traditions that go back for centuries. And, that really are adding so much into the identity of a specific place. So artisans from the beginning have been always a wonderful aspect in all our tours. Of course, we try to, let's say, to select different experiences according to the different seasons. For example, in spring, we go to this wonderful iris farm. The irises, they get to bloom at the end of April, beginning of May. So it's really like the peak of the spring time. And there are such beautiful flowers, and we know this farm. The artisan, she grows the irises and then she makes cosmetics out of it, of course, organic, and then from the olives as well. So it's a wonderful experience. Of course, it's beautiful all year round, but then, of course, there's timings when it gets extra special. So artisans, in my opinion, are a fundamental part of our Tuscan heritage, but not only. Of course, the cheese artisans, as you were mentioning, goat cheese and pecorino cheese, that are the two biggest production of cheese. We have no cow cheese in Tuscany. It's mostly about goat and sheep. And it's always fun because that's another wonderful hands-on experience where you really get to see the animals and to understand actually from the same milk you can get a huge varieties of different products starting from the same milk. It's incredible. You can just it's such a creative world, and you then have in front of you this cheese plate with so many different kinds of cheese. And like, how is it even possible that starting from the same milk you get all this incredible abundance, let's say, of taste and colors and textures, and there's so much. But not only, of course, then the olives. Olive oil is another big thing here. Also, in that case, of course, it's wonderful all year round, but it gets extra special in the fall, especially in October. I'm just giving you a little taste of how our Tuscan, let's say, land changes according to the seasons, but also some things that you may not immediately think when you think of Tuscany. So the little villages, the artisans, the olive oil farms and the cheese farms and the festivals as well. So, all those more kind of hands-on places and families that absolutely, in my opinion, deserve to be visited.
Tell me more about these festivals. I love a festival. I should be the festival queen. I love it. Love them so much.
No, it's funny because when I was a child, but I'm talking about when I was at elementary school, my teacher, she used to call me prezzemolino. Then in Italian it means the little parsley, because I was everywhere. So it's something at this point I think I will have it for my whole life. In any case, now I love all of these events as well. That makes, of course, extra special. And Italy is the perfect place for this because Italians, we love to be outdoors, and we just love to share a meal together and to share experiences. So a festival is one of the most fun and unique ways to experience, let's say, especially the countryside. Of course, then you have also festivals in the cities, but they are different in the sense that, of course, it's super, super crowded sometimes. In the countryside, they are smaller. So festivals in the countryside are basically some outdoor events. It can be either more with street artists, so flag wavers and drummers, and of course everything medieval style usually. And then always when I talked about the countryside, food and wine is like every time present. So we don't even need to mention it in the sense that it's really, so it's about usually it can be either for a specific event, so for a specific time of the year, or it can be a food festival because there's a season of a specific product. So, for example, in the fall, there's the chestnut festival because it's chestnut season. Then it can be, medieval festival because it's a date or something to be celebrated, or it can be, anything actually around. We can create a festival around anything, really.
Any excuse for a party. I love it. It's so cool.
Absolutely. And of course, then live music, and it's an occasion for people to stay outdoors and to just enjoy their time and to experience what a community is actually able to express, so to give.
Yeah, it's really interesting, Arianna, because a few people reached out to me and they said they wanted to organise their trips to Italy around certain festivals, and I went, because the challenge is, a lot of the times it's just by accident that you can stumble upon them unless you're really well connected with a local person, because these things are not advertised. They're not listed on Google. They're not listed anywhere. And they maybe a week before they go up, they might update their website. I don't know. But the way that you kind of find out about these things, if you're not from there, is that you might see like a flyer like stuck to a lamppost or something, or you need to know Arianna because it's something that happens in the rhythm with the seasons, and they might do it one week, 1 year, and they might make some adjustments the next year. So yeah, you need to be very well connected to have these experiences, and also you need to be able to speak. I think really you need to have someone who speaks Italian with you if you're not that fluent, because to understand and someone that's local to understand what is happening and why there's one thing to look at, these flag throwers and the drummers and everything, but if you get it in context, then it gives it a much deeper meaning, I think.
Most of the websites are not even translated in English. So yeah, it's just about, for sure, either, of course, be in the right place at the right time, that is always possible, and then it's about luck. Or if you are a planner, of course, yes, for sure it's best to know somebody who is a little bit involved in the local life. So let's say who can for sure help you to get into those kind of events. That's for sure. But that counts for, a little bit for everything, in the sense that, of course, yes, the festivals for sure, but also when it gets to products that they seem to be easier to be found. For example, again, wine farms or cheese farms or olive oil farms or honey or whatever, then it really gets to different levels. So of course, in that case, it may be easier to find them even just from internet. But then, of course, it gets really hard to get to some very private, intimate businesses where you get into somebody's home and, you really get to share, to meet the family, to meet the little children, to, what I think your memories that are connected to the little goats and, to meet Michele and Matteo and, like everyone in the family, the little child, that's what in the end stays in your memories for a longer time. No? And that is the big difference between visiting a farm and just, being invited for the tasting and learn about the product. And instead, when you are invited in somebody's family to be part of it. And that makes, in my opinion, a big difference in any case, yeah.
For sure. I think that, just having spoken to our guests, that were on different tours with us this year, there was one situation in Puglia where one of our guests really wanted to hug one of the beautiful, ancient, hundreds of years old olive trees. And our bus driver took the whole group to his farm and introduced them to the donkey, and she hugged the olive tree there. But, I've spoken to these people since then, and that's what they remember, like they remember that this man went out of his way to share his family home and, the donkey and the olive tree. But it's very special, and I really wish that everyone can have that experience, because it does mean a lot to me, and I know I've witnessed other people having strong reactions to those experiences too.
No, I think it's a wonderful way, at least, to explore the country, because again, in the city you have a lot to see also, that you cannot miss, that are the major museums. And, it's perhaps a little harder to get to the private homes of the people, because again, it's people living in big cities, they tend to protect a little bit their private life, in the sense that they are always busy, always in a rush, always surrounded by people. And so their home becomes like a little bit their private little island, when they close the door and they say, now I don't want to know anything else except for just being with my family. In the countryside, it's a very particular situation, because, for example, now that is winter time, it's only about the family. We have no human being except for maybe our two dogs. Nothing happens. The thing is, and I'm just joking, of course, we have fun, barbecues and everything in our home, and we invite people, but it's a lot different than in a city, where that every time, all year round, day and night, there's always people and things to do, concerts, etc. So you're constantly in a position where you can do things if you want to. Here, 5 p.m. at this time of the year, it's dark. You just go.
Do you light the fire?
Yeah, we light the fire, of course, glass of wine, but it's super relaxing. So the thing is, when it gets to the springtime, when the days become long and you have all the beautiful flowers and the temperatures are wonderful and it's the time when to go out, then we have such an energy that we really want to meet people and to share as much as we can, and we want to travel kind of thanks to these other guests we have. So to learn stories, and because it's just so much fun for us, and to share our homes, because it has been like for months, we have been more in a private mode. So we are ready to share and to let the other ones be part of our lives and to just meet new people. And that's also what I think it's important to understand also in the countryside, the difference also in terms of accommodations. I'm talking about, of course, my own experiences in Chianti and Tuscany, but I'm sure also in other regions, the Masserie in the south. I'm sure that in other regions it works the same. But let's say here in the countryside, everything is about family-owned and small accommodations, which makes a big difference then in the end for the trip.
Yeah, they're so special. Like, I can talk about this for a long time, but we're actually going back when we go to Italy this year. We're actually going back to one of the agriturismi that we stayed at because my son had built a connection with one of the owner's sons who makes a balsamic vinegar. Like, he just made such a strong connection with Francesco that I said to them, my kids, where do you want to go? If we're going back to Italy, do you want to go anywhere? And he said, I want to go back to the agriturismo, because he did make this really amazing connection. I'm actually not sure whether it was because we did get a lot of tastings of balsamic, but no, there was definitely like a bond between him and, listening to these, I think he would be in his mid-20s, just explaining his real passion behind what he did. And I was just thrilled to see, my child, who is a bit of a fan of computer games, actually just come alive having this conversation. It was just incredible, actually. So we're very much looking forward to that. What are some of the things that people can experience in the agriturismi in your area?
So I think, the first big difference between a bigger, let's say, hotel in a city and a smaller family-owned accommodation in the country is also the number of nights, in the sense that in a city, everything is quick. You just have so many plans and so many things to visit, so many towns. And also in the end, you just do perhaps one night, 2 nights, etc. And the convenience of where a hotel is located, so the area to be as close as possible to as many as possible of the places you want to visit. So you want to be central so that you can optimize times. In the countryside, there's nothing to optimize. In the countryside is we give value to different aspects. So we give value to really have the feeling to be welcomed in a warm and in a way that you're really feeling that you're part of the family. So, for example, we know lots of of course, we have our favorite agriturismis here, and there's always a family living on site. And in one case, for example, they have 2 little dogs, Maya and Toby. And when you arrive, the dogs, they come, they want to play, and this helps you to build a stronger relationship. Usually, most of the agriturismis, they require 3 nights in general, minimum stay. And that makes absolute sense, because I think it takes a little time for people to establish those relationships. If you stay only 1 night, of course, you just don't have the time to, because you're busy with your own plans. And then in the end, you just use it as a bed, but you don't have time to have a chat, which is absolutely so important to learn about the place you're visiting. It's about sharing that specific recipe. For example, the homemade limoncello that Miranda, the owner of this agriturismo, the homemade recipe is always the number one question. As soon as our guests they taste her limoncello, it's like the day after, I want to have the recipe, and then they start sharing tea together every day when we come back from the tour. It's really about, they can't wait to go back and to just tell her tell the family about what they have seen and what they have experienced. And, and going to the garden and to check about what's for tonight, and also the homemade breakfast, for example, that is never the same. So, for example, one day you taste something you really, really love, and then you're like, no, you need to tell me what was inside. All of these personal touches are so different from instead having a buffet continental breakfast in a hotel that it's for sure it's delicious, but you're not part of it, so you're not, nothing is personalized for you. It's just, inside of you. So from inside that this is going to be offered every day in the same format, every season in the same format, and to every single traveler in the same way. In some smaller agriturismi and places, that every experience is different, because in the end everything is crafted, and just also there's an impromptu, let's say every day is a different, just because you wake up and you decide together that today you just feel like making something together, or it's just a completely different approach that I think is what makes it so special. So you're by the end of the week you made friends.
Yeah. And you feel a bit rejuvenated, you feel a bit more energized. That's how I feel anyway. Just, it's funny how sometimes slowing down makes you have more energy for some reason. But I wanted also to say that even though you said that the areas, the countryside's not optimized, luckily when you're in Chianti, it's super optimized just by nature, because there's so many amazing experiences to have very close by that it's so very different. I mean, another thing that springs to mind is you've got, ceramics, but then, a few kilometers down the road, they specialize in making alabaster. And I really loved some of the souvenirs I brought back. I love the stoppers that you put on bottles, because we don't usually drink a whole bottle of wine at home. So I need a stopper for the bottle. So I've got my alabaster ones that I got near Volterra that, just special. And every time I look at them, I go, oh, Volterra. There's so many unique things that you can do very close, but it's all part of the fabric of life in Chianti.
You're right. Chianti is like you are like, you have the impression of being with pure countryside in front of you and just unspoiled views and very slower kind of pace, but at the same time you're central located. So Florence is less than 45 minutes, is about 40 minutes drive, and Siena is less than an hour, is about 45 minutes drive. San Gimignano is 40 minutes, and Chianti villages, there are so many options within 15 minutes drive. You have Siena, appunto, and Volterra, as you mentioned, Arezzo as well, that we both know. So there are so many towns that are all, let's say, within 1 hour drive from the agriturismo. The beautiful thing is the balance between, we have sometimes some travelers that say slow travel, okay, but does it mean that we do nothing the whole day? No, of course it doesn't mean that. My approach to slow travel then, of course, is very personal. And I'm sure that there will be different approaches, but let's say my own approach to that is to be able to balance. In my opinion, we all need to savor and to absorb every experience. So everyone, when you are traveling, you're exposed to so many different inspirations and stories and people and places, and different traditions. And it's a wonderful and unique opportunity to really open your mind and to grow as a person in the experiences you can share, you can have for yourself, but also that you can share with others once you're back home. To really be able to absorb every experience, you need a little bit of downtime. So the only, let's say, slow travel, it doesn't mean that you have nothing. You're just relaxing. It means about exploring, experiencing during the day, but then to have a little downtime that can be, your little time after, we come back from everyday from touring, to stay at a farmhouse that really helps you. You can have a refreshing walk or you can have just your own time to absorb and to be prepared for another day, the day after. And that's, I think, it's, to appreciate a sunset. That is a magic moment. And I see that when we have been exploring Siena and then, San Gimignano, Volterra, everything, let's say, during our weeks, then we come back and there's so much beauty that also needs to be, appreciated just by standing at these farmhouses with the view and, with a glass of wine and to see the sunset. That's absolutely as important as all of the sightseeing that we have been doing during the day. So that's I think a good combination and balance between the exploring part and also just the appreciation of also the simple pleasures that can be anything. It can be, again, a chat with the owners. It can be a sunset. It can be a lovely walk. It can be really just anything really done in the countryside.
It's so beautiful. And, if you haven't been to Tuscany yet, I'm going to tell you that the light there it's just, I don't know how, it must be something in the environment, but everything looks kind of golden and everyone looks fabulous in the light. It looks so really beautiful, golden hues that just, when the sun dips below the horizon, it's just, it is something magical. I can't wait to go back and have that experience again for myself. And you really do need to take the time to savour it, because I think it's one of life's moments that you will remember for a very long time. Now, Arianna, we collaborate together on our Untold Italy tours together, but I know that many of our listeners have reached out to you and have organised some travels with you directly themselves. And let's tell them how they can do that if they would like to do that.
You can just go on our website, which is www.km0tours.com. And then you will find some of the samples itineraries that are already there. So you can have a look. Then, of course, you can always reach out to me because, again, we just love to make your own vacation the special one. So if you have any special, we are the craziest tour guides ever. There's no crazy request for us. We can, of course, customize and personalize the itineraries. We also have some accommodations displayed in the website. We have many, many more that, of course, let's say I try to select the ones for each request, the ones that could be the best for that specific family. If you have children, non-children, how many nights, and all of this information that, of course, are important for us to be able to tailor the perfect itinerary. And again, as Katy knows, we love to give value to every single season. So that is also an important information to know, in the sense that for every season there's different products, different experiences that you can have. So there is that means an excuse to come back.
No excuse needed. No excuse needed. So for everyone listening, no matter where you're going in Italy, I think it's a really great idea to, mix up and layer up your travels so you have a bit of that sightseeing, but you also experience this slower form of travel, those deeper connections. And, when we're in Tuscany, there is no place that we want to be except with Arianna and her amazing team. And yeah, we just love working with you, and we're just so thrilled to always have you on the podcast so you can come back again whenever you like. Grazie mille, Arianna. Thanks for joining us again.
Thanks so much for this opportunity. I hope you have enjoyed, and I hope to see you soon in Tuscany, all of you. So any season, we are here, and we can't wait to have you with us and to let you experience a little bit of our life and friends and favorite places here.
Oh, amazing. Thank you, Arianna. If you ever felt the pull of Tuscany on a prior visit to Italy, or have simply been inspired by the photos, books and movies that you've read or seen, then make sure to spend a little extra time exploring and meeting the people and places and trying the experiences Arianna mentioned. When I think back on our trip to Italy last year, meeting the baby goats and family who tended them so lovingly to make their delicious cheeses was an absolute highlight. We also met fellow travellers and shared a glass of wine or two with them, overlooking a valley covered in vines while the winemaker's dog snuggled in for a pat. Afterwards, we took a stroll through San Gimignano at dusk with a gelato. That golden Tuscan glow blanketed the countryside, and I felt grateful beyond words to have those moments locked away in my memories. If you'd like to know more about joining us on tour in Tuscany in spring and autumn, or fall if you like, then you'll find a link to our tour itineraries in the show notes at untolditaly.com/158 for episode 158, along with all the details of how you can enjoy those experiences together with Untold Italy and KM0 Tours. Thanks for your ongoing support of Untold Italy. We truly appreciate all our listeners joining us from around the world. We would love it if you help spread the word so we can reach more Italy-loving travellers. And the best way that you can do this is by leaving us a 5-star rating or review on your favourite podcast app. That's all we have about slow travels in Italy for today. We'll be back next week with more inspiring tales and practical advice. But until then, it's ciao for now.
The Untold Italy podcast is an independent production. Podcast editing, audio production and website development by Mark Hatter, production assistance and content writing by the other Katy Clarke. Yes, there are 2 of us. For more information about Untold Italy, please visit untolditaly.com.